BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, I'm not Lauren Laverne, and this is not Desert Island Discs. This is actually Small Boat Discs, and it'll be the first and last episode of its kind. We are joined by our only guest, Andrew Hill-Smith, who at the time of recording was sailing his boat around the UK. This interview was recorded by BBC Radio Somerset with Simon Parkin as host.
Since April, Dr. Andrew Hill-Smith has had the most unusual office. Every day he has been spending a bit of time somewhere that I think is probably quite cramped and more than a little bit soggy, because he is sailing in a tiny dinghy with no cabin and no support around the country. He was inspired by both his friend and his uncle, who both died from motor neuron disease. Well, he's dealt with huge waves in Scotland, negotiated his way around Wales, and of course this weekend had the small matter of an amber wind warning to deal with as he's been down in the southwest. Morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Simon.
How lovely to meet you. Let's find out where you are now. Are you on dry land or are you in the middle of the sea?
Oh, right now I'm on dry land. Yeah, it's getting ready to go today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where are you? Where have we found you?
So at the moment I'm in Newquay. So that's Newquay, Cornwall, not to be confused with Newquay, Wales, which I've had pointed out to me before.
So now you spend each night presumably in the safe confines of somewhere with walls and a roof, but each day is spent on the water with very little protection.
That's right. I'm very keen on walls. My appreciation of houses and comforts has really gone up. On each day it's on the water. At the moment it's got a bit calmer, but it has been pretty wild. I didn't sail on the Storm Antony day. That was nonsense, but I have sailed most of the others. Good wind is good distance, but it can be a bit rough.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. Well, let's start at the beginning then. So, by profession, you have been a doctor for many years. What kind of things would you be doing?
Yeah, so I'm a child psychiatrist, so working with young people. So that's sort of community-based, going around and seeing people and hearing about difficulties and trying to find solutions. So that's been my day job for many years. I retired the second time in January, and I plan to retire again at some point. So go round again, I think.
And when we talk about, children and their mental health issues, we've been led to believe that it's become more of a something that has snowballed a little bit, partly because of COVID and the way that affected things. But I guess now there are more outlets, there's more understanding of the situations that people are in. Is that, would you say that is how you would find it, that there are more and more people who perhaps need more and more support now?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. A little bit of a cultural change, but, certainly the ONS surveys and things like that do say there are sort of bigger rates of difficulties and worse outcomes over time. So it's really quite a worrying trend. Yeah, lots to be troubled about.
Fascinating job to be doing, though. What made you want to focus on that?
Child psychiatry. Long story, but I liked medicine, and then I just really liked child psychiatry to like working with young people. I loved the approaches, the therapies. Yeah, I loved the play as well with children. It's all fantastic. So really good.
Yeah, I mean, gaining the trust of a child gaining the trust of anyone is quite a challenging thing to do, but it's particularly a very young child. Like you say, play is a way of sort of breaking down the barriers in the first place, isn't it? Which is, when you've got a serious end in sight, to start at the beginning having fun is a brilliant way of getting into it, I guess.
Yes, it's certainly something I enjoy doing. Yeah, you've got to be a bit careful with too much fun because people think you're not taking them seriously. So it's a delicate balance between fun, enjoyment, and then getting down to the serious stuff.
I imagine, and I'm putting myself in your shoes with absolutely no experience of doing it, but I imagine that you were going to take on some of the emotional stress that your clients, your young people that you're dealing with have got. And so to then be able to say, right, do you know what, for 6 months, I'm just going to sail around the country is probably a lovely way of you decompressing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. You picked up on that nicely. I mean, like any job, you get used to things, but certainly the last couple of years I was thinking about the sailing trip and my mind drifting off to the sea, and that sense of decompression, as you say, of the freedom of letting the waves and the winds speak to you. And I have a close relationship with my boat. I regularly talk to the boat, and the boat gives me good advice, as well as the boys out at sea. The level of conversation I've been approaching.
Well, tell me about the boat then, because all I know is it's a laser and it's 14 foot long.
Yeah. So Betty, named after my mother. She's Elizabeth, called Betty. My wife's Betty, and of course the Queen was Elizabeth. My wife's Elizabeth, and the Queen is Elizabeth as well. So lots of Elizabeth. And a couple of people can pick it up, particularly if it's not full of luggage, but it gets a bit heavier with luggage. And the boat's doing all right. Betty's doing all right. Lots of scratches on the bottom. When I land on a beach, I usually turn it over, and there's a map of the UK with all these sort of dates as to where I've got to, which is quite fun. But I do have to redraw it from time to time because it all gets scratched off with the sand and the like.
And so, was Betty got for this trip, or have you and Betty been friends for many years?
Yes. Well, we've got a lot closer. Actually, I'm going to distract you with a story because over near St. Bees, in Cumbria, someone moved the boat overnight, and I was absolutely furious. But I realised that the problem was that my life depends on the boat. You know, I've got the safety kit and the phone and the radio and goodness knows what. But if I don't have the boat, I'm out at sea and I'm in big trouble. So my life does depend on Betty, hence our greater closeness over time.
Oh, I can only imagine. Well, also, when the journey is done, the stories that only you and Betty will remember, because you will be sharing selected highlights, but there will be moments that will come back to you years later where you go, oh my God, and that happened as well. Let's talk about some of the things that you have already faced, because we talked about the weather being a bit of a challenge. Where did you set off from, and what was the first day when you thought, actually, you know what, I might go back?
First day when I might go back, well, that was the first day, actually. My wife and I said, well, this is going to be an opportunity to test things out, because it was chucking down with rain and blowing a hoolie. But I set off and thought, well, that's all right. But then the wind really kicked in, and I fell out 5 times and thought I'd go into Hailing Island for a bit of a break. And then misread the waves and fell out and landed on the centreboard, which broke, and oh my God, loads of disaster. But the extraordinary thing was a guy standing on the shore who said, I've sailed a laser a bit. And then he said, well, I've got another centreboard, and would you like it? And you can have it for free, and I'll go and get it right now. And I thought, that is incredible. So I was saved right on the first day. So they thought it was a good omen. I better carry on.
Well, that is lovely. I mean, that's the shot in the arm you need to prove that you can do it, when lovely people, like you say, are just there to make everything better.
Yeah, there have been so many wonderful people helping out with landing, with putting me up, so the land-based stuff. But people have been hugely generous and really, really interested, and it's been wonderful to meet so many people.
Do you mind me asking about the actual journey that you've taken? Because you're going around the country. So how close to the coastline do you have to stick? For example, obviously we've got the Bristol Channel here. So when you kind of come round from Wales, do you just go straight across, or do you have to go up and down again in order to be able to say I did the entire coastline?
Yeah, well, I'm not going round Shetland or the Scilly Isles, so I'm skipping them lot. But the Bristol Channel, which is of relevance, I came along Wales from Tenby to Mumbles. What a great name. And I thought that was like 25 miles straight across to Ilfracombe. And actually, I had a stonking breeze, and I was touching 11 knots, which was on the verge of out of control. But that was a quick crossing straight across to Ilfracombe. So you get some really strong tides up there, so you've got to be careful about what they're doing and make sure you run with those. Yeah, that was my route. That was straight across, so 25 miles. So that's sort of a good 10 miles offshore. I've done a sort of 30-mile crossing in Wales, so that's like 15 miles offshore. And if it's raining, you just can't see either side. So look at the compass and keep going and wait for some land to appear.
Wow, what a lovely way of doing it, though. But now, does that not mean that suddenly a boat has appeared at some point? Have you had any moments where you thought, whoa?
What do you mean, like shipping?
Yeah, just as like you say, if it's a blowy day and there's very little visibility, you haven't suddenly seeing land appear is one thing, seeing anything else appear is another.
Well, yes, I was heading over towards Liverpool and going through a wind farm, which I realised I wasn't supposed to do, but I did see a tanker appearing on the horizon. Usually the rule is do not go in front of tankers because they go a lot quicker than you think. You think they're not going very fast, but I thought I've not got far to go until I nip into the wind farm, and so I scuffled across in front of the tanker, and all was well, thank goodness for that.
Phew. And creatures, have you found yourself going, oh, crikey, there's a dolphin?
Yeah, I had the money shot moment coming into Mumbles. A small pod of dolphins came by, and I got it on camera. So that's on Instagram, the three hopping up and then another one. And it was literally 5 yards from the boat, so almost touching distance. So been superb.
Well, and I guess moments like that kind of make it all worth it. When you do have a hard day and you're wet and soggy and knackered, to have that moment kind of makes you think, well, tomorrow is just going to be just as brilliant.
Absolutely. Happy memories.
Let's talk about the other reason why you're doing it, which is to raise money for the charity that supports people with motor neuron disease. And you know 2 people who have been affected by this.
Yeah, a few. So my uncle died quite a while ago. My wife's uncle also died more recently, and more recently than that, a friend who I met, met him over many times, but when he got the diagnosis, I met him sort of 6 to 9 months before he died, and he said it's a bit like coming into land, that you just don't quite know what the landing point is. The landing point is not so happy as getting into an airport, which was, well, a good description, because that's the way it goes, isn't it? Just things decline and you fade away, and well, it's not a happy ending. So it's a terrible disease. Most people I expect to have met somebody or know somebody or loved somebody who's been affected by the disease. So there's a lot of it about, and it's a terrible condition. So I'm wanting to raise money for motor neuron disease, and anybody who's feeling like they want to support the journey, support the cause, is very welcome to. And they can do that either via going straight to Just Giving, Andrew Hill Smith with a hyphen, or my website links through as well, and that's Laser Around the UK, all one word. Laser Around the UK, all one word, and that links through. Laser with an S, Laser Around the UK, all one word.
And obviously all money raised is going to go to the charity that will hopefully fund the research that will hopefully eventually find a cure for this very cruel disease, like you say.
Yes.
When are you expecting to finish? How far around the country are you, and how much more have you got to go?
Well, Newquay, St Ives today, and then the Force Corner, Land's End. I've got 15% to go, which suddenly feels like not very much. I had originally said like October, but I don't know, I might make it back this month.
Wow.
Because there's some nice breezes. I'm a little bit shocked by that. I won't know what to do with myself.
But when you've been on a mission like this, I've never done one, so I'm talking off the top of my head. But I imagine there will be a kind of a sense of bereavement almost when you come to the end of it, because because of such an intense life you've lived.
Yeah, I mean, one of the kind of roller coasters is the anxiety about packing up and setting off. Have I got everything? And the initial sort of half hour often is slightly anxious making, particularly if it's really windy. But then you get settled into it. But when you end up landing, you get that rush and relief of, a bit like after exercise or something, the relief of the tension and effort. But for me, it's the relief of the tension, but it's also, phew, I can walk on dry land and I can go into a building, that kind of stuff. So after the whole journey, that cycle will come to an end, and I'm sure there'll be lots of joy about being at home and having the home comforts and stuff. But as you say, yes, after a journey, it will feel strange. It will feel an adjustment. So I don't quite know how that will land, but yeah, it'll be strange. It'll be different.
Yeah. Well, look, you've still got a good few weeks before you get there yet, so let's not worry about that. Let's worry about today.
Yeah, 20 miles.
How's your wind doing? What time are you setting off today?
Oh, I should think about 11. It's fairly light winds today. Not got too far to go according to my schedule, so St Ives, 25 miles or something like that. But the tide's turning in my favour, so that's always good. But tomorrow is Land's End, so that's the critical one. Got to get round there, otherwise, got to get round there, otherwise I'm coming back again.
Yeah, get round it. Don't just keep going. That's a whole other journey that you can do another time. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Congratulations on how far you've got so far, and we wish you all the very best with the rest of it. And thank you for stopping off in the southwest.
Yes, thank you so much, Simon, and thanks to all the listeners.
That's Dr. Andrew Hill, who is, he had planned 6 months. He's going to do it way quicker than that, in a tiny dinghy travelling around the country. As he said, if you have a look, laser around the UK, LASER, around the UK, you can find out all about the funds that he's trying to raise and why he's trying to raise those funds. And there's also a YouTube channel as well, so you can see some of the videos as well.